Hello, everyone. Welcome to another LGHA lecture series live online on Facebook Live and on the website at lakegeorgehistorical.org. My name is Gary Moon, and currently it's beautiful out. It's a nice evening. We're glad you joined us. If you're here watching the stream, we've got an interesting one coming up. We've got Warren County Historical Association to talk about their permanent exhibit of Warren County 360, celebrating place and people. The exhibit offers a fresh new look at history and heritage of Warren County through the lens of cultural geography. The evolution of the county economy and society will be showcased by examining how the natural resources of our region determined our development over the past several centuries. So joining us tonight is Teri Podnorski-Rogers. She's the executive director of the Warren County Historical Society in Queensbury. She's a native of Glens Falls. She's a longtime historian in the Southern Adirondack region, and she's a noted speaker and lecturer. She is the author of a lot of works like Malta Memories, Strength Without Compromise, Womanly Influence and the Political Identity in Turn of the 20th Century Rural Upstate New York, The Wife Who Came with Work Boots, Life and Love in Charlton Country, Spirit of Presence and Place, Georgia O'Keeffe and Alfred Stieglitz in Lake George. We're very familiar with that one at the LGHA. There was recently there was a exhibit, and I think there's still a room about that. And also The Last Seamstress of Fowler's Mills. Also joining us is Stan Cianfarano. Cianfarano. I'll try that again. Stan Cianfarano. It'll flow off my tongue after a few times. He's a retired elementary school teacher from Central New York. He completed his doctoral studies at Syracuse University, and he moved to this area where he taught at College of St. Joseph in Rutland, Vermont, and at Adirondack Community College. Stan is currently the co-president of the Warren County Historical Society, as well as the Warren County historian. So I want to welcome them both. Hi, folks.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. Well, this is going to be an interesting talk. I just have to hide a couple things here so we can get started. How are you?
We're doing great. We're very honored to be part of the summer lecture series for the Lake George Historical Association, and looking forward to sharing about our new museum.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing about it. Let me ask you something. What have you guys been doing since the pandemic? How's the museum going?
Attendance is down to 0. No, but we reopened 2 weeks ago, and we have some visitors coming in, so people are feeling safe enough to come and see us, I guess.
That's good. Are you giving guided distanced tours?
We are following all of the COVID guidelines, Gary. So we encourage people to come and visit us and know that they'll have an enjoyable experience, but they'll also be safe as well. We're taking pictures here and social distancing, practicing good hand washing, and we've made some adjustments to our exhibits that don't allow for touching and holding things like we once had, and hopefully we'll get back to our hands-on history exhibit at some point in the future. But we are very glad to be open again. To be very honest with you, we've had a real tough road over these last many months. We were victims of the tornado at the end of May.
Wow.
The lightning struck our building and it blew 4 holes in our roof, damaged beams in the attic, and completely destroyed all of our computers, telephones, electronics, alarm system, scanners. So on top of the difficulties of the pandemic, we have literally had to replace all of our equipment over the past several months. But I'm pleased to say we're almost there. And so by the time we reopened on August 4th, we really earned our safety badge, as they say.
I guess.
But we're
Wow.
ready to go.
Well, one thing you can say is at least you have fresh equipment to work with, and a lot of things had some freshening up, as bad as that is. But boy, what a dedicated team you folk are. That's terrific.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't I let you talk about the Warren County 360?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, again, welcome to everyone that is listening tonight. We are very pleased to be with you and to share about the Warren County Historical Society and also about our wonderful new museum and the permanent exhibition, which is called Warren County 360, Celebrating Place and People. Tonight, we're going to share with you not only about why this exhibit is important and why it is new and different in terms of what usually is imparted about Warren County history, but we also want to give you an appreciation of what we do as a historical society. I think certainly we've all had our awareness heightened over the past several months with the pandemic about how important a historical perspective is to the way that we live. We've made many references over the past 6 months to what life was like here in America during the Spanish flu epidemic in 1918 through 1919. And in here we are again reliving a very important historical moment in time. And as historians, we take that very seriously. And we hope tonight that through the words of our PowerPoint presentation and through the things that Stan and I share with you, you'll have an appreciation for the important job that historians play in helping to interpret our past in order for all of us to live a better future. The motto of the Warren County Historical Society is where history meets the future. And as I just mentioned, it is meant to convey the importance of not necessarily just living in the past, but using our heritage and our past in order to define the best future for the society that we live in. The Warren County Historical Society has been around almost 25 years. We're just getting ready to celebrate our 25th anniversary in a couple of years. We were chartered in 1997 by the New York State Education Department. It's a very rigorous process for historical societies to embark upon. Our mission is to promote the history of Warren County and the surrounding area by supporting research and preservation and promoting historic advocacy. And we do that in many ways, as you'll learn tonight. We are a nonprofit. We're governed by a board of trustees and a slate of officers and managed by an executive director who is me. And we are funded by our 175 or so members, and we survive also on donations, grants, and gifts.
We offer regular programming for the public every other month, beginning in January with our annual meeting. We also have some special events scattered throughout the year, History Day, and we're working with, of course, 2020 has kind of missed us, but we're working with Washington County with their history fair. We have special programming. We had a 2-day special History Day program scheduled for January, which maybe will happen next year, where we brought in a noted archaeologist to help us interpret history. In our new museum, we have some permanent exhibits and some temporary space. And the permanent exhibit is made up of panels like you see on the left here around the room, which gives it, we're going to go through in a bit to share those kinds of panels. But it also includes some display cases with some of the artifacts and material that we've been collecting for nearly 25 years. Our temporary exhibit space is currently filled with a wonderful exhibit on Warren and Washington County suffragettes. And that exhibit is going to be up through Labor Day. So we invite you to come in and look at it before it's gone. We're open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 3. You have to follow all the rules, have a mask, have your temperature taken, blah, blah, blah. But it's worth the time and the trouble. We'll talk about the specific panels as we go through this program. We have a fine collection of resource and reference materials. We have a library that is exceptional. We have a full-time. We have a person who's the director of the Resource Center here to help with any historical questions you may have. And also, we offer some genealogical assistance that if you're interested in starting your family history or you've hit a brick wall and you need some help, we invite you to call up and see what we have. We have a large surname file and other reference sources. We're inviting the local historical societies in the county to work with us in our temporary exhibit, and we're also looking at people who have special collections that they might want to share. We have over 25 years collected a whole lot of artifacts and a lot of paper, and we have a collections manager who is trying to get all of those things online, meaning that a list of the kinds of things we have. The right-hand picture here is our scanner, our wide format scanner that died in the lightning strike, but we're waiting for a new one to come in to replace it. And that scanner is open to the historical societies and other people for a fee. Will print large format maps, pictures, charts, or what have you. And we're also looking at community history. Right now, we're doing a 2020 project looking at houses of worship, especially those that are no longer houses of worship. And we're collecting them and sharing them, we hope, on our website. I hope we get to talk about our website, Teri. Mm-hmm. We have a book and gift shop, lots of good titles, and we are increasing the other material to sell. We have tote bags and pens, but we have a fine collection of local authors and local histories. And we invite you to come in and look at what that is. And we use PayPal, credit cards, cash, check, and we'll work with you to get you these things because we can mail things to you when you pay the postage. One of our regular duties here is to publish a newsletter, a quarterly newsletter called Pastimes, and we're publishing a Rewind article, Rewind to look at local history, bi-monthly, around the 1st and around the 15th of every month. And again, that's on our website, which we'll make sure you know what that is. The top picture there is a picture of our history book that was published in 2009, and it's a steal, $20, all the history of Warren County that you could want. So check out our publishing efforts. We invite people who like to write research and learn about local history to share some of that in the newsletter or in the Rewind column. Connect with us. We had a very interesting group of fellows working with us in the student intern program. We're looking for 10th through 12th graders, high school students that we can indoctrinate into the world of history and teach them what goes on behind the scenes in a museum or in the historical society. We're always open to start a new intern at any point in the year. So if you happen to be a high school student or know of one who might be interested in history, connect with us. We'll talk a little bit about what they did to help us get this exhibit up, which was a momentous project. And then we have an annual gala. If you look in the bottom right, that mansion on Crandall Park, above the pond, we held our first gala there. The picture on the left shows those Hawaiian hula girls. We had a wonderful gala at the Seasons restaurant in downtown, the culinary restaurant by SUNY Adirondack students. And last year we had a movie night, a silent movie night at the Park Theater. Our next gala was postponed until we hope, cross our fingers, January. But the one really important event at the gala is, besides fun, we have a new project that I'm going to ask Teri to talk about.
We are very pleased this year to be offering the first annual Honorable John Austin Contribution to History Award. As many of you may know, John Austin was a very esteemed historian, attorney, and judge in Warren County. John was a great friend to the society. He was one of the founding members of the Warren County Historical Society. And after he passed away last year, we decided that it would be really fitting to honor John and the memory of his important contributions to history with an annual award. So this year at our annual meeting in January, we will be presenting the first annual John Austin Contribution to History Award. So stay tuned as to who the recipient of that might be. So we're not going to give that away now, but it's going to be quite a night, and someone who is very well known in the history world and has made contributions in the same magnanimous way that John Austin did will be honored on that evening.
So cross our fingers and hope for the best that the end of January will allow us to get together for our annual meeting.
So 3 years ago, the Warren County Historical Society moved from its former headquarters on Sunnyside Road, number 195, to our current location, 50 Gurney Lane. The County Board of Supervisors was kind enough to offer us this wonderful historic building, which was built about 1922, was originally the nurses' dormitory for the tuberculosis sanatorium that was up on the hill here. And this house had been used for many things over the years. It was first for the nurses, and then after that, it was used by different county departments over the years. But for about 7 years prior to our occupancy in 2017, it was vacant. So we were extremely excited to be able to get this wonderful house as our new home. When we moved in here, the Board of Supervisors, who had a lot of confidence in us, gave us a very important charge. And that charge was to create a destination venue, a heritage tourism location, a museum in essence, for people to come, residents and tourists and visitors alike, to learn about Warren County history. So we really had our feet to the fire in order to create something brand new that we had never done before. But we are a very intrepid group of volunteers here. Everyone on our staff is a retired professional or currently working professional. Usually all of our volunteers and trustees and officers have some skills that relate to history, but everyone joined together in order to create Warren County 360, celebrating place and people. We settled upon this particular theme because we wanted to tell the story of Warren County history in a new and different way. For those of you who may have grown up in Warren County, you're probably familiar with a lot of the important and interesting, fascinating historical themes about our area. But we wanted to build upon that. We wanted to get people to look at our county in a slightly different way, through a slightly different lens. So we created the paradigm of looking at our history by starting with what was our geography and what was our geology, and how did we grow as a society and as an economy because of those things. So in coming to the conclusion about what hypotheses we wanted to study as we went about our original research as historians, we chose this particular symbol that you see here on the slide. And it's basically a compass symbol. It's a surveying type symbol. But what it denotes is this idea of directionality and the earth and north, south, east, west, looking at our county in all directions in a full circle 360 way. And that is what happens when you come to our museum. You'll walk into our first floor gallery and you will literally follow a directional path and view interesting narrative panels, see items from our collection that will really show you and teach you in a new way the appreciation of how our natural resources, land, water, rivers, lakes, soil, mountains, led to how we grew and developed as a county.
There.
In the course of developing our exhibit, as I said, we had to do a lot of original research. So here you see some pictures of our research team working together, looking through our collections, sitting at a table and hashing out what are the new areas that we want to research. And then in the picture in the top right, that was the day that our exhibit panels that had been designed by a wonderful firm in Shelburne, Vermont, actually arrived to us. And it was really like a dream come true. For a small museum like ours to develop something to the scale and magnitude of what we did with Warren County 360, I have to tell you, it was honestly very, very thrilling. And the day that all of our panels arrived and we unpacked them from the truck, we felt a great sense of pride that we were doing something important for the county. And as we mentioned, this new exhibit is based on cultural geography, which essentially means how it is that human beings relate to their environments and their indigenous surroundings. And that was how we went about researching and writing our new exhibit. One of the first panels that you'll see when you enter our building is this panel we call the thank you panel. And it talks about the premise of our exhibit, but it also thanks all the many people who worked on the exhibit or provided donations and gifts for us in order to make it happen. As I said, we're a fairly small historical society. We have an annual budget of about $35,000 a year. This exhibit, to build it, was over $25,000. So we had to work very hard to get the funding for this exhibit. And it was really something that we knew was a big leap for us, but we were determined to do it. These were the exhibit themes that we settled upon as a research team. We wanted to talk about Warren County as a place, its geology, its natural resources, and then how those led to how we developed as a community. How did we settle this place that we call home? Our county was the source and location of many military conflicts, as I'm sure you are all well aware, the scenes of French and Indian War and also American Revolution. After the revolution was over, how did we develop? And you'll learn about the importance of patents and land grants. The way that we work and play in Warren County is also part of our exhibit. And we also pay homage to the many artists and writers who sought out Warren County because of its beautiful landscape. And we also wanted to talk about how the county is changing. We are very well aware that the evolution of Warren County through the generations has brought us to a place that is certainly ever evolving, never perhaps more so than now. And so we do, in our directionality theme, come all the way to the present day and talk about important themes of change. Location makes Warren County special. This is a beautiful painting that was done by the sister of one of our trustees and our collections manager, Tom Lynch. And it really is a beautiful symbol of the beautiful resources, natural resources, lakes, mountains, that were the determinants really of how we developed. And so we include this in our exhibit because we know how important it is to us personally because of our colleague, but it does epitomize what we are trying to convey. The settlers in Warren County started coming here over 10,000 years ago, if you can believe that. And we had many types of early settlers. We had Quakers, we had indigenous peoples, and they found their neighborhoods and their communities and set up their livelihoods and their homes and their hamlets based on geography. They were locating their homes and small mills and home industries by rivers and streams and using the natural resources and available lumber and trees in order to build their homes and start their businesses. So community was also very much influenced by our geography. This is a picture that is really very dear to all of us here, and it fast forward in time, but it's in essence another way of looking at community based on how work and industry developed in Warren County. This is a picture of the annual McMullen-Levins clam bake at Lake George. This particular picture was taken just about the same date, August 24th. We're approaching August 24th. But back in 1940, McMullen-Levins, as many of you may know, was a very important shirt and dress factory in downtown Glens Falls that existed from 1902 to 1992. And the importance of this shirt and dress factory cannot be overstated. Its history mirrored the entire trajectory of the American textile industry history, which in the United States had its ups and downs from the turn of the century all the way into the 90s when a lot of apparel manufacturing went offshore. But this picture gives you an idea of really the vast number of local people who were involved in this very important industry that really defined work in Warren County for many years. And it's, if you look closely, you'll probably see a lot of relatives in that picture. As communities developed in Lake George and Glens Falls and the 11 towns and one city in Warren County, there really were a lot of common denominators, but it did have to do with the abundance of natural resources here and the types of industries that developed here, the way we educated our young people, the reform movements that ended up here because of our location and our geography, the abundance of art that has really defined the tourism aspects of this area, really all came back to where we were located, the importance of why we were located here, and the abundance of natural resources around us really led to the thriving economy that we've had over the years. We also were, in many ways, the seat of aviation in upstate New York. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And one of the other very important themes that has always been important in Warren County history is that of healthcare. And from our earliest days, we were the site of tuberculosis sanitariums and early hospitals in Glens Falls. And even today, 2020, this area is one of the first and foremost areas of medical device manufacturing in the entire country.
Cottage Hill, if you don't know what you're looking at the housing development across from the Queensbury schools. It was one of the first developments after the war, after World War II, and Cottage Hill is its name, but you can find the houses, and you can define how they all look similar to each other, and had changes made over the years. But it began suburbanization, which we'll talk about later. The Queensbury School District is in that big field behind, in the back of the picture, which was an airport at the time, but now is the campus for Queensbury. Then conflict. Warren County's location was at the corners for many conflicts: the French and Indian War, conflicts between the native peoples, the Revolutionary War, and it all had to do with our location because we're in the way if somebody was coming from Canada to get to Saratoga. We were on the waterways with the Hudson River and the Scroon River and the Lake George. So everybody should be aware of location at these crossroads. And it started out with a fort in Fort Edward, but we needed to get up to this area. So we had, the military made a turnpike, the first in the area. They built the old military road from Fort Edward to Fort William Henry. There were many forts between the two. And then you have to look a little to your right and pretend that Fort Anne is over there, because even though Washington County, I'll get in trouble by saying they weren't quite as important. They were, but Fort Anne was also part of the mix, coming from Canada and so on. Okay, development. Warren County's early settlers needed grit and tenacity to make their homes in this place. And they did that in a number of ways. There were large grants of land given to people for their service in the wars, or sold to land developers. And go to the Jessups, which had a whole lot of land from Corinth over up into Essex County even. They had a huge land grant, and there were lots of those. But some of the names you should be familiar with are Abraham Wing, the Jessups, of course, James Caldwell. Lake George was called Caldwell until the early 60s. John Thurman, a very important name. He was a merchant from New York City who brought people up here to work and eke out a community up here in the wilds of Warren County. This is the centerpiece of our exhibit. It was handcrafted by those wonderful people in Shelburne, and it denotes Warren County. You can see the map there. I'll show you a closer view of it. But around the outside of the map is each of the towns and the city that make up Warren County. We have the map in the middle, which the Warren County Planning Department and GIS people worked with us on to make it near perfect as we could, representing those waterways and the vast areas where people came to settle. I think your work.
The story of work and industry in Warren County, again, begins with the land and the water. The abundance of natural resources and the ingenuity of settlers really were the driving forces, the original industries that defined Warren County. Mining, forest products, textiles, and clothing were some of the earliest industries that were prolific in Warren County. Garnet mining, for example, in the Gore Mountain area of North Creek began in the late 1870s, and many of you are very well acquainted with Barton Mines, a family-owned company that is still in existence today and still maintains its garnet mine in North River, but also has its headquarters now in downtown Glens Falls. And the garnet product itself is also used as a water jet and abrasive product. So over many generations, mining and its tangential businesses has been very important here. From the early days, the proliferation of forests led to tanning, the making of leather from animal hides, and also textiles and clothing. Here's a picture of the woolen mills in Warrensburg. By the 1880s, there were over 250 pairs of woolen pants being made each day in Warrensburg Woolens, which was located propitiously right on the shores of the Scroon River. Here again is a very powerful and moving photograph of the importance of lumber, trees, logging, and our waterways. The Hudson River really was the highway for moving logs from upper Warren County and even farther north in the Adirondacks down to the Big Boom in Glens Falls. And river drives along the Hudson and into Glens Falls existed all the way to 1953. Each log was marked with a log mark so that it would be able to be sorted when it got to the Big Boom, and each log would go to its different company. Tanning was also a very important industry, as I just mentioned. It is the processing of animal hides in order to make leather. It is a very labor-intensive industry, and it thrived and was very prolific in this area, especially in the Farrow Lake area of northern Warren County, because of the abundance of hemlock. In addition to garnet mining, graphite mining was also a very important industry, especially in the Hague area. There is to this day a sign for the hamlet of Graphite outside Hague. And as many of you know, graphite is the lead in a pencil. Our geography and our geology led to how we work and how our industries developed in Warren County, but it also has been the determinant for how we play. And of course, we all know, especially this time of year, how important Warren County and the Lake George region are for people to come and enjoy and recreate and have fun in our rivers and lakes and streams, hike our mountains, and enjoy the beauty of the landscape. This slide really gives you kind of a little timeline for how we became a very thriving tourism industry from the early days when we really were just a plank road to the days of stagecoaches bringing people to the resorts at the lake, the development of trolleys, and then, of course, the importance of auto tourism with the advent of the Adirondack Northway. People are still coming here today to go boating and swimming, camping, visit our bike trails. And of course, we have many important festivals that draw people to this area, from the Balloon Festival to Americade. Sadly, so many of those have had to be canceled this year because of the pandemic. But we really are a place that people choose because of the beauty of our landscape. And I want to just make a quick note about this. We have a really cool business in downtown Glens Falls called Weather Routers. And Weather Routers is a meteorological forecasting company that provides weather information for cruise ships and even US military ships all around the globe. And they operate out of the most unbelievably intricate and fascinating headquarters in the Warren Street Square building. And we had a very lively tour with the Weather Router people about a year ago. And I remember one of the most important things that the president of the company said to us about why, when he could have located anywhere in the country, he chose Glens Falls. And it was, he said, because he wanted to give his employees the best quality of life that he could. And that's why he chose Glens Falls. When culture and people and art and work and industry all connect, there's bound to be some controversy. Over the years, environmental concerns have loomed large as we try to protect Lake George, as we try to protect soil erosion in not only areas around the lake, but in hiking trails. We've had to seek the advice of experts and engineers and geologists when we've had ice storms and flooding. But we are an area that pays great homage to the forever wild spirit that Warren County within the Adirondack Park has always lived by. There are 6 million acres that make up Warren County, and we are part of the Adirondack Park. We do have many protections which allow us to work and live and recreate in this beautiful place in a very respectful way to our people and to the land. Probably my favorite part of the presentation, and it's about art. Gary mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that one of the books that I was very privileged to write is Spirit and Presence of Place, the story of Georgia O'Keeffe and Alfred Stieglitz in Lake George. And it was a great honor to write about those two amazing artists and their connection to Lake George, because many people, even art aficionados, don't always know about the connection of those two world famous artists to our home place. But Lake George and Warren County and the Southern Adirondacks has indeed been an artistic mecca for many generations, for artists, sculptors, painters, photographers, and writers and musicians to come to this area and enjoy the landscape and be inspired. This by no means is a complete list. But here are just some of the many artists of all persuasions who have made their homes here and have drawn inspiration from the landscape and this place that we call home. Warren County is very rich in museums. History museums that you see listed here, as well as art museums. We have one of the most important world-class art museums right here in Glens Falls, the Hyde Collection. And if you haven't visited, you certainly must. But we also have the Shirt Factory, the old McMullen Levins factory that is now a community of all kinds of crafters and artisans who sell their art and really show the world what it means to live and work in a community of artists that are trying to really connect with their community in positive ways. One of the greatest aspects of the Renaissance of downtown Glens Falls, and really all of the towns and villages within our county, has been the birth of art in the downtown areas. And if you look very closely at those areas that really are thriving, it is, in addition to the economy and the stores and the shops, it is having art and artists and culture and theater in the downtown that makes those communities thrive.
We're going to talk a little bit about change. The landscape, natural resources, and geography have inspired generations of artists and writers. Change in the county comes through in a number of ways. Perhaps one of the biggest changes came when urban renewal hit, and when urban renewal visited, and the Adirondack Northway. The Northway, the story of the Northway is well documented in a book we have for sale in our bookstore. There were three places they had planned for the Northway to go. One is as far east as near the Vermont border, one in between here and there, and one where we ended up. And the changes the Northway brought to the towns, in theory, it killed Glens Falls for a little bit because people could avoid Route 9 and the traffic tie-ups. When we first moved here, I had a neighbor talk about how you couldn't go anywhere on Route 9. It was just bumper to bumper traffic on the weekends. Friday getting people north, and Sunday night getting them back home again. But turns out the Route 9 ended up following the old military road and the Adirondack Northway. They thought best parallel to Route 9 for much of the way. And then there's the Route 28 bypass out that took the traffic away from downtown North Creek. But a positive thing is that the downtown North Creek looks much like the downtown North Creek of 70 years ago. The roads started out as plank roads. There were stagecoaches. I can't imagine the ride. We all probably were at Frontier Town and got a chance to ride in those bumpy things. The railroads and so on. And again, aviation was started for the North Country here at our Floyd Bennett Field, where the Queensbury School is these days. And then again, when it moved over to the current airport. Urban renewal, we lost a lot, but we did gain some things. And I won't go read the list to you, but look at the things we gained. I'm not saying they were all positive, but for some people they were. We lost some beautiful theaters. And then we started moving out to the suburbs and the shopping malls, not just Aviation Mall, but you all know Queensbury Plaza and so on and so on, and think about how they've changed over the years. Somebody came along and built Aviation Mall and stole Sears and uh, eesh. The best thing about our exhibit, and you'll see examples of all the things we've talked about, is a whiteboard we have at the end of the exhibit. You go around that 360 degrees, and when you're ready to back at the door again, you're ready to go. We have a whiteboard there, and we're asking people to envision our future. What do you think we're going to see in 20 years from now? And it's a whiteboard so people can write, and we can copy those things. Our intent is to share them with the Board of Supervisors and see if maybe they agree. But so that's a hands-on writing exercise for everybody. We did a timeline that shows international events, United States events, and local events. And time isn't going to let me talk a whole lot about it, but our student interns that we talked about before put together this timeline. They did a phenomenal job. They picked out the things they felt were important, and I set them straight. But it's a gorgeous timeline. How about Jean?
Okay. A special part of our exhibit is that we showcase one of our favorite poems by Jean Robert Foster. She was born in Johnsburg and lived a very poor childhood, but grew up to have a fabulous life and had careers as a poet, a teacher, a journalist, a social worker. But throughout her life, she wrote very moving and visceral poetry about her childhood in Warren County. And we felt that this particular poem was so symbolic of what we tried to convey in our exhibit. So I'll just read a couple of lines. Here in the wilderness, folks will tell you to be careful about the place you live, for there's something in the mountains and the hills that is stronger than people, and you will grow like the place where you live. The hands of the mountains reach out with bindings that hold the heart forever. We hope that you will come and visit us. We have a thriving museum. We have a lot to see. We have an awful lot of fun here, and we always love new visitors as well as volunteers. We really hope that you'll come and visit us. We know that it's a little hard now because of the pandemic. So if you're not so inclined to visit us, please visit our brand new website. It's listed here, www.wcnyhs.org, and you will find an amazing array of information and programs and writings and pictures that will really intrigue you and hopefully have you visit us. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That's great. Thanks, folks. That was terrific. I wanted to ask you, oh, by the way, let's see. Kyle Smith Graves says, you guys are doing a great job.
Kyle's one of us. Hi, Kyle.
And also Patricia Barker Berry says hi to you. Folks you know, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. Hi, Pat.
Well, so I wanted to ask you folks, you're open, are the hours that you just displayed, are those current or you're limited from those hours you showed?
We have limited hours right now, Gary. Normally we're open Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 4, and then Saturdays, 11 to 2. But right now we're easing into it with just some limited hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays from about 9 or 10 until 3. If anybody would like to come at a different time, we are very accommodating about setting up appointments with people who are not able to accommodate those hours. So please call us and we will make sure that someone's here to greet you.
All right, that's great. Now, when people go to the museum, the Warren County 360 exhibit, you pretty much went through the content of it, but it's not just things to read, right? There's some hands-on, there's some interactivity, I assume, as well.
Yes, one of the best things about the exhibit, in addition to the beauty of the narrative panels and the information on them, is that we finally, because of our new house here, been able to take a lot of things out of our collections and put them on display. So when you come here, you will be able to see everything from ice saws and wooden water pipes to artifacts from the early Quaker settlements, to postcards and dinnerware from Scroon Manor and the Chester House,
Right. So
maps from John Thurman, and everything in between.
that's great. And also it's not just ancient history as well. It takes you right up through modern day. You showed some information about the 1940s in there and modern day that people can basically relate to, not just ancient history and uh, Indians and the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something for everyone here. And when we're through the pandemic, we'll be happy to invite people to experience our hands-on history exhibit, where we have items from over 100 years that you can pick up and hold. And they're really a lot of fun to actually feel history in your hands.
You know, your intern program sounds great too. Do you have a lot of interest from students?
We do. In a lot of ways, we put out the call. One thing we didn't mention was that we have about 70 years of newspapers in our basement that have to be scanned, but we had to get them here. And we had a bunch of students from Queensbury volunteer to come up and help us move them. We spent a whole day moving newspapers from a warehouse in South Glens Falls into our basement. And we had a whole lot of books in storage, new books that had to be moved. And by golly, we got another group of students, some of the same, and they come in for the day and they hear about history and we get some work out of them. And we have a connection with George schools and Queensbury. They come in a normal year, spend some time with us, helping us do things, but using it as a learning experience. And we're open right now for some interns. So if there's anybody out there, please send them our way.
One of our student interns has become a full trustee. And so that's really been exciting for us to have really a multi-generational board of trustees. And so we're very lucky in that regard. But we do a lot with education. And I do want to mention that our education committee is very active, and we host an annual high school student debate every year, which draws debaters from all the local high schools. And it's always a very popular event. And this year we're doing something new. We're going to be partnering with Fort Ticonderoga to offer a series of online history seminars for teachers in the area. And our particular program we will be hosting on the evening of October 8th, and we'll be getting more information out about that. But we want to make sure that area teachers know the resources that museums like ours have for them to use.
Oh, that's great. That sounds like a great program. Well, I want to thank you once again, Stan and Teri, for talking with us about the Warren County 360 exhibit and the Historical Society in general. That website address I'll mention is WCHS WCHS, Warren County, New York, HS Historical Society.org, right?
Right.
Yeah. Rely on some interns also to work on the website because they have the skills. It's built
Yeah.
in. They know that stuff.
That's right.
Thanks
It's a
again
good
for joining us, folks, and have a great night. Thank you out there who watching for joining us, and keep an eye out on the next week when we introduce another Lake George Historical Association lectures online. Thanks again. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank
you.
you.